I didn't marry you because I wanted you, Noah. I married you because your family needed to remember what humiliation feels like. Mason Hale's voice carried across the glass-roofed ballroom with the quiet precision of a blade, and every guest went still. Noah Bennett stood beneath an arch of white roses, his fingers resting loosely at his sides while cameras captured the exact second his wedding became a public execution without blood. Behind Mason stood his identical brothers, Ethan and Logan, three alphas in black tuxedos, three matching faces sharpened by different kinds of anger. Mason looked controlled. Ethan looked unreadable. Logan looked like he regretted agreeing to share the same air with Noah. Above them, a massive screen displayed photographs from the ceremony, but someone had replaced the final image with a collection of headlines. Desperate Omega traps the Hale heirs. Bennett family buys its way out of bankruptcy. 3 alphas, 1 gold digger. Soft laughter traveled through the crowd. Noah felt each whisper touch his skin like cold rain, but he kept his chin lifted. He had learned years ago that people grew bored when suffering refused to entertain them. The officiant cleared his throat and glanced nervously at the cards in his hand. We'll proceed with the vows. There are no vows, Mason said. His eyes never left Noah's face. This is a legal arrangement. Nothing more. Somewhere near the front row, a champagne glass clicked against a silver tray. Noah's father watched from beside the aisle, smiling as if everything were unfolding exactly as planned. That smile bothered Noah more than the headlines did. It always had. The officiant turned to Ethan. Ethan's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Then everyone looked at Logan. Logan took the final ring from the velvet box, studied it for half a second, and placed it on the table between them instead of taking Noah's hand. The gesture was small. Polite, almost. That made it crueler. Noah looked at the ring, then at the 3 men who had agreed to marry him without asking whether he had agreed to become their punishment. His pulse beat once, hard, beneath his collar. He picked up the ring himself. Don't worry, he said, sliding it onto his finger with steady hands. I didn't come here expecting to be loved. The laughter disappeared. Ethan's gaze shifted first, surprise flickering across his face before he hit it. Logan looked away. Mason remained perfectly still, but something in his expression cracked and vanished so quickly Noah almost imagined it. The officiant pronounced them married. Applause followed, thin and uncertain. Noah stepped past the brothers, determined to make it through the next 10 minutes without giving anyone the satisfaction of seeing him break. Then all 3 alphas inhaled at the same time. Noah stopped. Mason's hand closed around the edge of the table. Ethan went pale. Logan stared at Noah as if a ghost had just spoken through him. Beneath the roses, perfume, and expensive champagne, Noah's natural scent had slipped free for one brief second, carrying the faint trace of vanilla, orange blossom, and winter air. It was the same scent the Hale brothers remembered from the final message their mother had left before she died. For one suspended second, nobody moved. Noah felt the 3 alphas watching him, but the trace of his scent had already vanished beneath the blocker at his throat. Mason recovered first. He released the table and offered the guests a smile so controlled it made the room colder. The ceremony is over. The reception continued, but the Hale brothers did not speak to Noah again. They kept their distance through the photographs, the speeches, and the painfully elegant dinner. By the time a black car carried all 4 of them away from the hotel, the city lights had blurred into gold against the windows. Noah sat alone on one side. Mason, Ethan, and Logan faced him from the other. Where did you get that scent? Logan finally asked. Noah touched the small silver patch beneath his collar. I was born with it. That is not an answer, Mason said. It is the only one I have. Ethan studied Noah with the same focused expression he had worn at the altar. Have you ever met our mother? Noah looked toward the window. No, the answer came too quickly. Mason noticed. Noah knew he noticed, but nobody pressed further before. The car reached the Hale estate, a sprawling stone house outside Boston surrounded by bare trees and early winter fog. Staff members waited beneath the front portico, their expressions carefully neutral. Noah stepped into the entrance hall and found 3 framed photographs of the Hale brothers beside their mother. She had kind eyes. That somehow made it worse. Mason led him upstairs to a suite at the far end of the east wing. White flowers covered every surface, but there was no warmth in the room. One suitcase waited beside the bed. Noah's suitcase. You planned this carefully, he said. Logan leaned against the doorway. You wanted to join this family. Now you can enjoy the view. I never asked for any of this. Your father did enough asking for everyone, Logan replied. Ethan looked as though he wanted to interrupt, but Mason spoke first. You will remain here tonight. Tomorrow, we discuss the terms of the arrangement. Noah glanced between them. And tonight, you learn that a Hale marriage does not make you a Hale. Mason closed the door. Noah stood alone in the silence. So this was their grand humiliation. No shouting, no spectacle, just a beautiful room in an enormous house where no one wanted him. He let out a shaky breath and crossed to his suitcase. His hands remained steady until he found the small amber bottle hidden beneath his shirts. The label had been replaced. Noah stared at it. His father had promised the prescription was unchanged, but the tablets inside were the wrong color. Of course, Noah whispered. Warmth spread beneath his skin, followed by dizziness and a dangerous pressure behind his ribs. His scent blocker flashed red. Noah hurried to the door, then stopped. 3 alphas were on the other side of the house. If his scent reached them, every ugly rumor from the wedding would look true. He turned the lock instead. He opened a window, lowered the thermostat to 60 degrees, and swallowed one of the unfamiliar tablets, hoping he was wrong. The room tilted. His knees weakened. He reached for the nightstand, but his fingers missed, and the medicine bottle rolled across the hardwood floor. Outside, footsteps stopped. Noah, Ethan called. Noah pressed a hand over his mouth, fighting to stay conscious. I am fine. Ethan remained silent for a moment. Then his voice changed. No, you are not. Noah tried to answer, but the floor rose toward him. The last thing he heard was Ethan calling his name again. When the door finally opened, Ethan found Noah beside the bed, the useless medicine scattered near his hand. He knelt to check his pulse, gently pushed back Noah's sleeve, and went completely still. Faded needle marks covered the inside of Noah's arm, far too many to belong to a single medical visit. Ethan's hand hovered above Noah's wrist, close enough to check his pulse, but not yet touching. Noah, can you hear me? Noah's eyelids fluttered. His breathing came too fast, and the scent blocker at his throat blinked red again. Vanilla, orange blossom, and winter air slipped into the room in soft waves, not inviting, not sweet, but sharp with distress. Ethan looked toward the open door. Mason. Logan. Now. Footsteps crossed the hall. Mason entered first, his expression changing the moment he saw Noah on the floor. Logan stopped behind him, one hand gripping the doorframe as the scent reached him. For a heartbeat, instinct filled the room. Heavy, immediate, dangerous only because it was powerful. Mason turned to his brothers. Nobody touches him unless he says yes. Logan's jaw tightened. He is barely conscious. Then we wait until he can answer. Ethan picked up one of the tablets and examined it beneath the lamp. This is not his prescription. The color is wrong, and the coating is dissolving too quickly. Noah made a small sound and pulled his arm closer to his chest. Ethan lowered his voice. Noah, I need to check your pulse. May I touch your wrist? Several seconds passed. Then Noah nodded once. Ethan placed 2 fingers against his skin. His heart rate is unstable. Mason crouched several feet away, keeping his hands visible. Tell us what you need. Noah opened his eyes. Fear moved through them before recognition returned. Stay back. All 3 alphas did. Logan took 1 step into the hallway and called the household physician, then ordered the ventilation system switched to isolation mode. He closed the air vents in the neighboring rooms and dismissed the staff from the East Wing. No announcements. No curious witnesses. No one else would be allowed near Noah. Ethan brought water, cooling cloths, and the emergency medication the physician recommended. Each time, he asked permission before coming closer. Each time, Noah answered with the smallest nod. Mason remained near the foot of the bed, silent and still, as though any sudden movement might frighten him. Why are you helping me? Noah whispered. Logan looked away first. Ethan's hand paused above the glass of water. Mason answered. Because you are ill. You hate me. That does not give us the right to abandon you. Noah laughed once, but there was no humor in it. That is a very low standard for a husband. Mason accepted the words without defending himself. The medication began to work, but slowly. Noah refused the bed, so Ethan arranged blankets on the carpet beside him. The 3 brothers sat at a careful distance, taking turns monitoring the temperature, replacing cold cloths, and speaking whenever Noah started to drift too far into confusion. Logan described the old oak tree behind the house. Ethan counted Noah's breaths with him. Mason read the instructions from the medicine bottle over and over, as though certainty could be forced from the print. Near midnight, Noah's fingers moved across the carpet, searching. Mason noticed first. "What are you looking for?" "Someone's hand," Noah murmured. "Just a hand. Nothing else." Mason extended his palm and stopped several inches away. Noah closed the distance himself. His grip was weak, but Mason went completely still. Hours passed. The room cooled. The sharpness faded from Noah's scent. Just before dawn, he whispered, "I tried to warn her." Ethan looked up. Logan leaned forward. Mason's thumb froze against the side of Noah's hand. "Warn who?" Noah's eyes remained closed. "Your mother. I sent the message. I thought she would leave before he found out." A silver pendant had slipped from beneath Noah's shirt. Ethan carefully lifted it after receiving no response and noticed a narrow seam along the edge. The pendant opened with a quiet click. Hidden inside was a tiny memory drive marked with the faded logo of the company their mother had owned. Noah woke beneath 3 unfamiliar scents and immediately assumed the worst. His eyes opened to pale morning light, a folded blanket, and the humiliating realization that Mason's hand was still resting beside his on the carpet. Not holding it, waiting near it. Noah pulled away, and Mason woke instantly. "How do you feel?" "Like I was poisoned at my own wedding." Noah pushed himself upright. Ethan was asleep in a chair with a medical chart across his chest. Logan stood near the window, pretending he had not been watching. The silver pendant lay closed on the nightstand. Noah reached for it. Mason moved first, then stopped himself before touching Noah's arm. There was a memory drive inside. Noah's fingers tightened around the pendant. "You opened it?" "We opened the pendant. Not the files." "How considerate." Ethan stirred at the bitterness in Noah's voice. He checked the clock, then asked permission before examining Noah's pulse. Noah almost refused. Instead, he extended his wrist. Ethan's touch was brief and careful. "Your temperature is normal. The physician is sending a replacement prescription from a verified pharmacy. I can manage my own medication." "I believe you," Ethan said. "I do not believe whoever packed your suitcase." That answer left Noah with nowhere comfortable to place his anger. Mason brought breakfast an hour later, setting a tray outside the bedroom rather than entering. Logan delivered Noah's phone, fully charged, along with a new scent blocker. "The old one failed," he said. "This model will alert you before the seal breaks." Noah studied him. "Is this concern, or are you protecting the furniture?" Logan's mouth tightened. "You make gratitude look exhausting. You make kindness look accidental." Logan left before his expression could reveal too much. By afternoon, Noah had learned their new pattern. Mason asked questions like an attorney, but remembered how Noah took his tea. Ethan spoke gently but noticed every lie. Logan complained whenever Noah needed anything, then somehow provided it before anyone else. None of it made sense. They had married him to shame him. One difficult night could not transform cruelty into trust. In the library, Mason placed a laptop on the table and inserted the memory drive. A password screen appeared, followed by an unusual verification request. "Pheromone authentication," Ethan said. "Your mother designed that system," Noah replied. "She believed passwords could be stolen." The screen requested 2 biological signatures. One belonged to Noah. The other matched the Hale family line. Logan folded his arms. "So one of us has to stand beside you." Noah looked at Mason. "You wanted answers." Mason came closer but stopped an arm's length away. "Only with your permission." Noah hated how much those words affected him. He nodded. They placed their hands near the scanner without touching each other. The device pulsed once. Noah's scent surfaced faintly. Mason's followed, cedar and cold rain, steady rather than overwhelming. The lock opened. A list of dated files appeared. The earliest was recorded 8 years ago. Mason selected it. Their mother appeared on the screen, younger and frightened, speaking to someone beyond the camera. Then another voice entered the recording. Noah recognized it immediately. His father. Calm. Polished. Certain no one would ever hear him. "Remove her access before the board meeting," he said. "If she exposes the accounts, make sure the company believes her failure was an accident." The video ended. No one moved. Mason stared at the dark screen. Ethan stopped breathing for a moment. Logan's anger disappeared beneath shock. Noah looked down at the ring on his finger. Now you understand, he whispered. I was never the person your family should have hated. Mason closed the laptop, but the silence remained open between them. Noah expected accusations, questions, perhaps another careful apology that would change nothing. Instead, Ethan pulled out the chair beside him and sat without speaking. Logan turned toward the window, one hand pressed against the glass as if the cold could steady him. Mason looked at Noah with an expression that was no longer anger and not yet trust. How long have you had this? He asked. 8 years. And you never showed anyone? I was 16. My father told me the recording was fake. Then he reminded me how easily people disappear from family photographs when they become inconvenient. Logan faced him. You expect us to believe you kept evidence against him while living under his roof? Noah gave a tired laugh. No. I expect you to believe whatever hurts least. Ethan opened the laptop again and examined the file list. Several recordings were corrupted, and the final folder required another key. This is not enough for a criminal case, he said. It proves intent, but not what happened after the meeting. Mason nodded. We need the missing files. For the next 3 days, the library became their war room, though no one used that word. Mason traced financial transfers. Ethan studied medical records connected to the company. Logan contacted former employees who had vanished from public life. Noah translated his father's habits into patterns. He knew which charities were fronts, which assistants lied badly, and which account numbers meant money had been moved somewhere it should not exist. Slowly, the brothers stopped treating him like a guest. A cup of tea appeared beside his elbow before he asked. A blanket was left on the back of his chair because the library was always cold. Logan argued with him about everything, then defended his conclusions when Mason challenged them. Ethan noticed when Noah skipped lunch. Mason began saying his name without suspicion attached to it. That frightened Noah more than hatred had. On the 4th evening, Mason found a transfer made 8 years earlier from Bennett Holdings to an account under Noah's name. The amount was $200,000. Logan stared at the screen. You said you never helped him. I did not. The money says otherwise. Noah leaned closer, and the color drained from his face. He recognized the account. His father had opened it when Noah was a child. I never had access to that money. Mason's voice stayed calm. Can you prove it? Before Noah could answer, his phone vibrated. One message. One photograph. His younger foster sister, Lily, sat in the sunroom of the Bennett estate, pale and frightened but unharmed. Beneath the image were 6 words. Bring the drive, or she stays. Noah locked the screen before anyone could see it. I need air, he said. Ethan watched him carefully. Your pulse just changed. I am tired. Noah, Mason said. What happened? Noah stood too quickly, knocking his chair backward. Nothing happened. That night, he waited until the house was quiet. He took the memory drive from the locked desk, placed his wedding ring beside Mason's untouched coffee cup, and left through the garden entrance. By sunrise, he was gone. The drive was gone. His room was empty. Logan found the note first. It contained only one sentence. Do not follow me. Mason read it twice, then looked at the ring. Ethan checked Noah's phone records and found the device disabled. Logan's face hardened. He used us. Mason said nothing. That silence hurt more than agreement. Across the city, Noah sat in the back of a black car with the memory drive hidden in his coat and Lily's photograph clenched in his hand. He had not betrayed the Hale brothers. He had chosen the only person his father could still use to control him. What Noah did not know was that Mason had noticed one detail on the abandoned coffee table. The tea beside Noah's chair was still warm. Noah was taken to the Bennett estate just after sunrise, where every curtain was open and every light was on, as if his father wanted the house to look innocent. Lily waited in the library with a blanket around her shoulders and a cup of untouched cocoa in her hands. The moment she saw Noah, she ran to him. He held her tightly, counting each breath until the shaking in her shoulders eased. You came, she whispered. Of course I came. Their father stood near the fireplace, perfectly dressed, perfectly calm. The drive. Noah kept one arm around Lily. She leaves first. You are in no position to negotiate. Then you are not getting anything. For several seconds, only the clock spoke. Finally, their father nodded to an assistant. Lily was escorted toward the front entrance, but she looked back twice, fear written across her face. Noah smiled until the door closed behind her. Then he placed the memory drive on the desk. His father picked it up with satisfaction. You always were sentimental. You always mistook that for weakness. The smile disappeared. Noah noticed cameras mounted near the ceiling and a row of media vans gathering beyond the gates. His stomach tightened. What are they doing here? Protecting the family name. A silver case rested on the desk. Inside were medical vials labeled as emergency suppressants. Noah recognized the color immediately. It matched the false tablets from his suitcase. His father intended to trigger another scent crisis in front of reporters, then present Noah as unstable, dishonest, and dangerous to the Hale family. You cannot control what people believe forever, Noah said. I do not need forever. I only need today. Across Boston, Mason stood in the Hale library with Noah's ring in his palm. Ethan had traced Lily's photograph to the Bennett estate. Logan had already found the media schedule. A physician warned them that Noah's weakened scent might be detectable through a developing triad bond. We could strengthen the connection, Ethan said quietly. It might help us locate him inside the house. Logan looked toward Mason. Then do it. Mason closed his fingers around the ring. Not without Noah's permission. He could be in danger. That does not make his consent optional. The decision cost them time, but none of them argued again. They drove to the estate using security records, public entrances, and Lily's emergency message to determine where Noah was being held. Meanwhile, Noah was moved into the sunroom, where bright winter light poured through the glass. Reporters waited beyond the closed doors. His father placed one of the false tablets beside a glass of water. Take it, and this ends quietly. Noah stared at the pill. Quietly for whom? The doors began to open. Questions rose from the hallway. Noah's pulse accelerated, and the old fear returned, cold and familiar. He thought of Ethan asking before every touch. Logan pretending concern was irritation. Mason extending his hand and waiting for Noah to close the distance. The memory steadied him. Somewhere beneath panic, a faint thread of cedar, rain, and warmth moved through his senses. Not a command, not possession, a connection waiting to be chosen. Noah closed his eyes. For the first time, he reached toward it willingly. Mason, he whispered. The thread brightened. Ethan, Logan. Miles away, all three brothers stopped at the same moment. Noah's voice did not reach their ears. It reached somewhere deeper. Mason looked toward the Bennett estate beyond the windshield. He is calling us, he said. Logan pressed the accelerator as Ethan answered with absolute certainty. Then we go to him. The connection guided the Hale brothers through the Bennett estate more clearly than any map. Mason felt Noah's fear as a cold pressure beneath his ribs. Ethan sensed the uneven rhythm of his breathing. Logan felt one simple truth burning through everything else. Noah had called, and they had answered. They entered through the main reception hall, while reporters crowded the sunroom beyond a set of glass doors. No one stopped them. The Bennett family had invited the press, and the Hale brothers were still legally Noah's husbands. Inside the sunroom, Noah stood beside his father with the false medication resting untouched on the table. Questions flew from every direction. Was Noah emotionally unstable? Had he manipulated the Hale heirs? Had his scent crisis been planned? Noah's father lifted one hand, pretending to calm the room. My son needs treatment, not judgment. Noah almost admired the performance. Almost. Then the doors opened, and three familiar scents reached him beneath the perfume and camera lights. Mason entered first. Ethan followed with Noah's verified medical records. Logan carried a tablet connected to the estate's security system. Noah's father smiled without warmth. You are trespassing. You invited the public, Mason said. We came for our family. The word struck Noah harder than any accusation. Family. Not property. Not obligation. Family. His father reached for the silver case. Ethan stepped beside Noah, but did not touch him. The tablets in that case contained the same unapproved compound found in Noah's system after the wedding. Murmurs spread through the room. Logan displayed the pharmacy records and the delivery authorization bearing Bennett's signature. The reporters turned their cameras toward Noah's father. For the first time, his confidence slipped. He activated the estate lockdown. Glass doors sealed between the brothers, trapping Logan in the outer hall while Mason and Ethan remained inside. Security shutters began descending over the windows. Logan, Ethan called. Logan tried the control panel, but the system rejected his access. Noah saw the uncertainty in his face. He could have stayed beside Mason and Ethan. He could have waited for someone else to solve it. Instead, he ran to the manual release near the hallway and pressed his palm against the scanner. The panel required a Bennett family signature. It accepted Noah immediately. The doors reopened. Logan stared at him. "You came back." Noah's breath shook. "You came for me first." Their sense met in the space between them, not overwhelming, not demanding. Mason and Ethan approached slowly. Noah understood what the unfinished connection was asking. Not surrender. Permission. Choice. "Will it help us stay connected?" he asked Ethan. "Temporarily," Ethan answered. "Only as long as you allow it." Noah looked at all three brothers. "Then I allow it." The bond settled like warmth around his shoulders. Logan found the hidden security archive. Ethan copied the medical orders. Mason uploaded the final recording from the memory drive before Bennett could erase it. The evidence was complete. When police arrived, Mason calmly accepted responsibility for bypassing the estate's restricted system, protecting Noah from any legal accusation. He was escorted outside for questioning while cameras followed. Noah watched from the front steps, his wedding ring still absent from his hand. A reporter called out, "Are you leaving the Hale family?" Noah looked at Mason waiting beside the police car, then at Ethan and Logan standing behind him. "No," he said clearly. "They came here to bring me home. Now I am going to bring Mason home too." By noon, Mason was released from questioning, but Noah knew freedom was not the same as victory. His father still controlled the company, the press, and half the city's favorite version of the truth. So Noah chose the one place Bennett could not resist being seen: the annual foundation gala at the Grand Commonwealth Hotel. 200 donors filled the ballroom beneath crystal chandeliers, while Bennett stood on stage praising family loyalty. Noah entered through the main doors with Ethan and Logan beside him. Conversation faded. Mason waited near the stage, cleared of wrongdoing, but still watched by every camera in the room. Noah felt the temporary bond warm beneath his ribs, steady and quiet. No commands, no pressure, just three familiar presences reminding him he was not alone. Bennett smiled as Noah approached. "You should be resting." "I rested for years," Noah replied. "I am done being quiet." Ethan connected the verified medical files to the ballroom screen. Logan secured the presentation system so no one could interrupt it. Mason remained several feet away, giving Noah the space to decide what came next. The first document showed the false prescriptions ordered under Bennett's authority. The second revealed payments made to the private clinic that had treated Noah since he was 16. The third proved that $200,000 had been transferred into Noah's childhood account and withdrawn by Bennett's assistant before Noah ever knew it existed. The room filled with whispers. Bennett lifted a hand. "My son is confused. His condition affects his judgment." Noah had expected those words. They still hurt. "Then let us hear from someone whose judgment you trusted." The final recording began. A younger Bennett appeared on the screen, discussing hidden accounts and ordering the Hale Company's access removed before the board meeting. Then another file played, one Noah had not known existed. His mother's former accountant spoke directly into the camera. He explained that Noah was not Bennett's biological son. Noah was his child, placed in the Bennett household after his death because he believed the family name would keep Noah safe. Instead, Bennett had raised him close enough to control the evidence. Noah stared at the screen, the truth reshaping every memory he had. Ethan moved nearer, but waited. Noah reached for his hand first. Bennett stepped toward the control panel, but Logan blocked the screen with nothing more than his presence. "The presentation is not finished," Logan said. The ballroom doors opened, and federal investigators entered with warrants based on the financial records Mason had delivered that morning. Bennett looked at Noah as though betrayal belonged only to him. "After everything I gave you." Noah's voice remained calm. "You gave me fear and called it protection." The investigators escorted Bennett away without spectacle. No shouting, no struggle, only the quiet collapse of a man who had depended on everyone else staying silent. Cameras turned toward Noah. Questions came quickly, but Mason raised one hand, then stopped and looked at him. "May I?" Noah nodded. Mason stepped beside him. Ethan remained on his left. Logan stood on his right. Their scents blended gently with his: cedar, rain, warmth, and winter air, not hiding Noah's presence but strengthening it. Noah faced the room. For years, People told my story for me. My father called me unstable. The press called me ambitious. The Hale brothers once believed I was their enemy. Mason's expression tightened with regret. Noah continued. They were wrong. Then they chose to listen. He looked at the three men who had once married him as punishment and had returned for him when he called. This is not the end of my story. It is the first part one get to tell myself. 3 months later, the first marriage was formally dissolved in a quiet courtroom with no cameras, no reporters, and no one pretending the contract had ever been built on love. Noah walked out carrying a folder of legal papers and felt lighter than he expected. Mason, Ethan, and Logan waited across the street, but none of them approached until he crossed toward them. They had learned patience the hard way. Noah moved into a small apartment near the Charles River, found work with a nonprofit that protected vulnerable Omegas from medical exploitation, and spent long evenings rebuilding a life that belonged entirely to him. The Hale brothers did not ask him to return. Instead, they began again. Mason sent carefully worded invitations instead of instructions. Their first real date was at a quiet bookstore cafe, where he apologized without defending himself and listened when Noah explained why forgiveness could not be rushed. Ethan brought dinner on difficult weeks, but always texted first and never entered unless Noah invited him inside. Logan attempted subtlety for almost 4 days before arriving with a badly wrapped houseplant and admitting that he missed arguing with Noah. That may be the least romantic confession in American history, Noah told him. Logan looked offended. The plant has flowers. It has one flower. It is doing its best. Slowly, awkwardly, honestly, they became something new. The temporary bond faded, leaving only ordinary choices behind. Noah discovered that Mason laughed quietly when surprised, that Ethan sang off-key while cooking, and that Logan spoke to every dog he passed, as if they were old friends. The brothers discovered that Noah hated early mornings, loved old mystery movies, and took his tea with honey when he was worried, but denied being worried when anyone noticed. 6 months after the gala, Noah invited them to the restored greenhouse behind the Hale estate. Their mother had once grown winter roses there, and the first new blossoms had opened that morning. Mason arrived in a dark blue suit. Ethan carried coffee for everyone. Logan brought the same stubborn houseplant, now covered in tiny white flowers. I told you it was trying, he said. Noah smiled and led them beneath the glass ceiling. On a small table rested 3 simple silver rings. The brothers stopped. For once, none of them spoke first. Noah looked at Mason. You taught yourself to ask. Then Ethan. You taught me that care does not have to come with a price. Then Logan. You taught me that loyalty can be loud and still be gentle. His voice trembled, but he did not look away. The bond did not choose my future. Fear did that for most of my life. I will not let it do that anymore. He picked up the rings. I choose you. All 3 of you. Not because a contract demands it. Not because anyone expects it. Because when I finally learned to tell my own story, you became the part one wanted to keep. Mason's eyes closed briefly. Ethan covered his mouth with one hand. Logan whispered, Are we allowed to say yes now? Noah laughed. Yes. Their second wedding took place in the greenhouse 2 weeks later. Lily stood beside Noah. There were no headlines on the walls, no business agreements, and no guests invited for appearances. Each man spoke his own vows. Each one asked before placing a ring on Noah's hand. When the ceremony ended, winter sunlight filled the room, and Noah stood among cedar, rain, warmth, and blooming roses, no longer someone's punishment, secret, or possession. For the first time in his life, home was not where he had been placed. It was where he had chosen to stay.